The following program may contain strong language and mature content. Viewer discretion is advised.
From street takeovers to gas stoves being banned, really? Even monkeypox. Remember, we talked about that previously. All of that. Also, too, from Uganda finding $31 trillion worth of gold. Yes, that's right. We have a lot to talk about. And all that's coming up right here on The Real Reality. Hey everyone, and welcome to the show, The Real Reality. I am your host, Larry Ulrich, and I'm so happy to be here. And yes, it is a lot going on that we need to talk about. I'm sure you guys have been watching the news. I'm sure you guys have been talking everywhere you've gone, everywhere that you've gone, and you're thinking, oh my God, what is going on? Well, remember, the good thing about this show, we're going to talk about things that the news really don't want to talk about. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's start locally. All right, Compton. We talked about City of Compton before. This one is a little bit different. It's called street takeovers. Now, I'm sure some of you may not know what a street takeover is. Some of you may know. Now, look at that picture right there. That's when, if you guys ever go into the street, you see all these skid marks from these tires. Well, that's just people at random times of the night. Listen, even in the day. They're just going there, just turning, going 100 miles an hour and just turning the cars. Well, it's kind of becoming so common in Compton that it's somewhat organized. They have one that was, it had to have been probably around midnight, 1 a.m. And there were 200 people standing outside. Now listen, these are in local neighborhoods, right? There you go. That's the picture. You guys see that? And there's actually more people there. They must have taken that picture earlier, when this event first started. But I want you guys just to really look at that picture right there. Just look at the screenshot. You got those two cars. So all they're doing, listen, you have people hanging out, throwing up the peace sign, whatever sign they're throwing up to the crowd. They're going all around. And these people are just standing close to the cars, not worried about getting hit. This is becoming a huge problem. Take a look at this video and we'll talk after.
Wow, yeah, an illegal street takeover hitting a Compton neighborhood. But it doesn't last long as law enforcement swarms in to break it all up. Residents say that they are fed up with the almost constant string of these street takeovers right in their neighborhood.
KCAL 9's Jeff Nguyen shows us the packed scene that happened overnight.
Neighbors in this area say they often feel like prisoners in their own homes during these street takeovers. One example was this wall was knocked over about a month ago after a car crashed right into it. And then on the ground, all of this debris from screeching tires. To give you some perspective, let's go right to our drone. From the air, you can see that this entire intersection is completely blackened. And as we elevate our camera and pan a little bit, you can also see that this area sits in a residential area.
I do get angry. I do get mad.
Alex Ramos is talking about this. Street takeovers that happen, she says, several times a week at the intersection of South Wilmington Avenue and West Caldwell Street in Compton. The most recent early Monday morning. Some spectators yelled at this man to get down after he climbed up a traffic pole, while smoke from burning rubber filled the air.
It happened today. It happened in the afternoon, late evening, early in the morning. It's just whenever they choose.
This man asked us not to show his face. He says shootings have happened during takeovers when hundreds of people will show up and block streets and driveways.
They're very quite aggressive and confrontational about it, and for everyone to be scared for them not to do anything.
It's a neighborhood filled with families. Some homes have play areas, while this one had a wall knocked out last month when a car crashed into it. Just steps from the home, blackened pavement, and debris from tire burnouts. The LA County Sheriff's Department eventually showed up and about 200 people cleared out. But neighbors say the problem seems to go round and round.
When they do arrive, the only thing they do is they just scare them off. That's all. I don't see no arrests. I don't see nothing.
The Compton Sheriff Station says there were no injuries and no arrests early Monday morning. The watch commander also told us that there are about half a dozen takeover locations in this city that are organized over social media, which makes it difficult for deputies to get ahead of them. In Compton, Jeff Nguyen, K-County.
All right, a lot to unpack right here. You know, this is becoming really, really common, and it is a big problem, you know, especially in areas like Compton, because just to let you guys know, if you're not from Los Angeles, you know, Los Angeles average home price is around $1.52 million, and that's just even in what people may consider the hood in LA. So I bring it up to say, where else is it to go? And I believe Compton is going to be the next hot spot because some properties are still in the high 3, low 4s. And that's unheard of anywhere in LA. So people are going to start moving there. But if you want to move there, you got to change the mentality. And it starts right here, as you guys see right on your screen. This is pretty bad. I mean, you know, again, I'm glad you showed, there you go. This is what happened. Now, again, the news didn't show this picture, but it happens. And there have been shootings and people have lost their lives. Since we've reported this, they've had another one where I think there was a shooting and a couple people did lose their lives. Again, there are kids in these neighborhoods that are playing and they're not thinking about it. And listen, now whoever was on top of that pole, they need their ass kicked. Come on, man. Really, is it that serious? That car could have hit that pole, knocked the pole down, and he would have been gone. And all that for what? Just to go viral? So my advice, my recommendation, if it's consistently going on, me personally, I would notify 911 and say, hey, around this time, around this area, give them an exact location just to let them know that it needs to stop. Because if you don't say anything, nothing will happen. And really quickly, she said no arrest has been made. Well, it's going to keep going. They have to come up with some type of law, something to start arresting people. And that's the only way this will stop. All right, moving on. Story number 2. Now, I asked you this question. What would you do? We all go to Craigslist, right? Oh, we buy everything from Craigslist. But what happens if you get a couch? You know, you cleaning the couch. Now, of course, you get it from Craigslist. We're going to get it cleaned. But as you cleaning it, you open up maybe a cushion or two and you find $36,000. $36,000. And this is cash, baby. This ain't a check. This is not a money order. This is cash. What do you do? Take a look at this video.
You never know what you'll find on Craigslist. One woman in Southern California ended up making money on an item that had been listed as free. There was more than $36,000 stuffed in envelopes and hidden in a couch cushion. Vicky Umodu said she was never tempted to keep what she found, she said, and said she immediately gave the money back to the family who gave her the furniture.
You know, telling my son, come. I was screaming, come. It's money. I need to call the guy.
Could you have been as good as a way of saying thank you to Umodu for returning that cash? The family paid for a new refrigerator and also gifted her $2,200.
All right, now that is a question. And remember, part of the show, we want you to respond. Okay, I pose that question to you. What would you do? You find $36,000 cash. First of all, let me, with her, I don't think I would have notified the media. If I would have kept it or returned it, I wouldn't have notified the media. I think it brings way too much attention to you. People see your face and you have neighbors. Neighbors know where you live. People talk. Oh, yeah, that's my friend. She stays right 2 doors down. And people will break into your home thinking you have that type of cash laying around. So you got to be very, very careful. I wouldn't have done that. I would have stayed away from the media. But what do? Do you keep the $36,000? Many people said, yeah, I would keep it. I wouldn't have said anything. I would have taken that cash and I would have kept it. You know, this is tough because, again, the couch was free. You don't know who you don't know who people are. People appear to be nice, but you don't know what people are involved in, right? This is tough. Because everyone would, there you go, there's the cash money. Everyone wouldn't have given that money back. Me personally, I would have been scared. I would have been afraid. The reason being, again, you don't know what people are into. You don't know if it was drug money. You don't know if it was mob money. You don't know. And what if you get a call out of the blue one day and say, hey, I need my $36,000 or I'm coming over there and I'm going to do something to you. I know where you stay. What do you do? And you know that wasn't your money. Personally, I think she did the right thing. Me, I would have been very tempted to keep it. I would have called the family. Me personally, I think I would have called the family out of fear, just fear, again, not knowing what they were involved with, thinking somebody's going to come knock on my door wanting their money back. And they rewarded her. They didn't have to do it. They could have been like, thank you. But they gave her $2,200, bought a refrigerator and whatever else she wanted to do with it. But this is a good story because it goes to character. How will we define character? I don't know how you define it. But on the other hand, guess what? If you honestly were given that couch, if you paid for it, it's your couch, technically. So there's no right or wrong with this. I know a lot of people say I would have kept my mouth shut. That I would have done. And many people would have kept the cash because at that point, it is your couch. All right, write in the comments. Just let us know what would you have done if that was you. All right, moving on. This is important. All right, look at that picture right there. These are people that are frustrated. You know, July 4th is coming up. Many people are getting the hell out of town. But make sure you purchase your ticket early because flights are being canceled. There you go. And it's mainly American Airlines. I don't know what's going on with American, but 40 flights, I'm looking at my notes, 40 flights have been canceled Sunday due to staff shortages. And when they say staff shortages, they're talking about shortages in pilots, not necessarily stewardess, but it's mainly in pilots. So take a look at this video.
Weekend of flight frustrations across the U.S. Thousands of flights have been canceled or delayed, including here at LAX. This entire holiday weekend, weather problems and staffing shortages have caused major problems for airlines. KCAL 9's Jake Reiner is live at LAX with how things are going tonight. Jake.
Hey there, Serena. As you know, it is insanely expensive to travel nowadays, whether by plane or by car. And despite all that, people are traveling more than ever since the pandemic, and the airline industry is struggling to keep up with demand.
Take care.
Yeah. Talia Alfred thoroughly enjoyed her trip to Aspen. It was her birthday after all. Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
What she didn't thoroughly enjoy were the delays trying to get home.
We've been stuck on the tarmac for hours at a time. We actually deplaned, got back on the plane, and deplaned again.
Talia, though, is far from alone.
This travel is crazy, and then the flight cancellation is not making anything any better.
Airlines are dealing with massive staffing shortages, and airports across the country are packed. A bad combination considering the busiest travel day of the year was on Friday with 2.4 million people trading places, according to the TSA.
Basically, you just come earlier because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Here's a snapshot from FlightAware for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 2,853 flights canceled, over 18,000 flights delayed. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg met with airline CEOs this week to urge them to improve service, tweeting, "Air travelers should be able to expect reliable service." Delta pilots published an open letter to passengers blaming management, saying, "We have been working on our days off, flying a record amount of overtime to help you get to your destination."
When we arrived, we learned that the flight was canceled. We think it was a shortage of crew.
So how do we avoid losing precious time, being angry, and sleeping on the ground? AAA with an insider tip: book early morning flights.
Those early morning flights are less susceptible to problems because of the way that crews are staffed and the way that the routes are planned. Those early morning flights don't have as many cancellations or delays like those later afternoon flights.
But if you're like Talia Alfred, stuck at LAX, you use your spontaneity. What's the plan now?
You know what? I think we're going to head to Vegas.
You're not kidding, are you?
No, I'm not.
When all else fails, head to Vegas. That's my advice. No, just kidding. I checked FlightAware, though, and here at LAX, they saw 40 cancellations. That's combined for arrivals and departures, but I can assure you that airports in Atlanta and Newark, New Jersey had far more cancellations. Reporting live at LAX, I'm Jake Reinier, KCAL 9 News.
Oh, Jake, I was at LAX on Friday, and it was no fun. I can attest to that. Thank you for that live report.
All right, just to let you guys know, this weekend I was in Miami. I was very fortunate to go to American Black Film Festival. And when I was coming back, it was on a certain airline, and we were on the plane, and we had to wait about an hour, close to an hour and a half. Of course, they said it was, mechanical issue, something going on with the plane, but you just never know what really was going on. Even one of my best friends went, and he had the same issue. Luckily, we didn't experience flights being canceled, but it has happened, and it's very frustrating. So I do want to highlight some of the things that they said, because I'm sure people watching will be traveling. You definitely want to book early morning flights. Yes, get on up, get up. It's fine. Get up early. Just get it out the way. Go ahead and book those early morning flights. Also, to come early. And me personally, I make it a point, and I know I'm a little, people may call me a little too detailed, but I like to get there almost 2 hours early. Let me tell you why. When I went to Miami in the TSA, when you go through, you have to put your hands up like this, They only had 2 lines open, guys. That's it. And to go through, I mean, it took about 45 minutes just to go through that. And you got to bear with the people, the staff. We understand they're overworked. But many of them were not kind. They were not kind. And you can't take it personal. Just, my recommendation, wear some comfortable shoes that you can slip on and off. Go ahead and get your laptops out, get them out ready. You have to put them in each separate bin, which was very frustrating because I had my personal laptop, my work laptop, my iPad. So I had to get 3 bins plus bins for my wallet and my shoes. So it was a bit frustrating, and they were kind of rushing me on. I didn't like the attitude. I didn't think I deserved it, but I did not take it personal. So my advice to you guys, it is real. Flights are being canceled due to shortages, specifically pilots. And yeah, you got to get there early. Go ahead and Uber there, get your friend to drop you off. I would say no more than an hour and 30 minutes. Don't get there an hour before because you might miss your flight. Don't do that. I would get there hour and 30 to 2 hours. Get there early for that. Because again, those flights are being canceled, and it is very, very frustrating. And lastly, I'm going to reiterate, book early flights because it is best. All right, moving on to our last story that is local. Now, this can be a little national, but it's local because it's here in California. Look at that picture. Now, I'm a cook. I cook pretty good, I think. And I prefer a gas stove. Well, some politicians, even some citizens are saying they want to get rid of, that's right, you heard it correctly, they want to get rid of gas stoves. And that's not only in domestic homes, that's even in hospitality. And of course, that includes restaurants, hotels. I don't know about this one. I don't know. But let's take a look at the video and we'll talk after.
A potential game changer for restaurants and their customers. LA passed a motion last week that would ban most gas appliances in new commercial and residential construction starting next year. It's all in the name of fighting climate change, but not everyone is happy. KCAL9's Candace Crone is live in Studio City with the details. Candace.
Ross, good evening. Yeah, the city wants to ban gas stoves in new buildings to help bring about a cleaner and greener environment. But those in the restaurant industry say that it could leave them in the red. Sizzling chicken and beef kebabs are one of the many items customers enjoy at Amir's Falafel because of the incredible flavor an open flame gives.
The food just cooks much quicker. Using an electric stove, it would just take so much longer to cook the food. I think the food also gets it gets a kick into the flavor.
While cooking on a gas stove is a staple for this restaurant, it might not even be an option for new restaurants starting in 2023. Last Friday, the LA City Council voted to ban most gas appliances in new construction, both residential and commercial. That would mean new homes and businesses must come with electric.
All right, so you guys get the point why we cut that video short, but I do want to reiterate what that young chef was saying. He is absolutely correct. Me personally, like I told you guys, I cook. I prefer gas stove all day. I can't believe this is even a problem. I mean, it should be your choice. And he's right, with electric stoves, it takes too long. Can you imagine going to a new restaurant that just opens up next year? You're interested in going, and instead of taking 30 minutes for your food, it's an hour because the stove takes so long. It's just, it doesn't make sense. To me, my experience with cooking on gas, it cooks even and it cooks faster and your food tastes better. It just gives it a better sauteed, charred feel. Electric, not so much. In the name of climate change, I don't know about that. They need to explain that more. I think people need to come out and speak out more. Myself, if I have to write something, I would definitely do it. But I am a huge advocate of gas stoves. And again, all my cooks out there, I know you guys understand what I'm saying. I'm sure you guys cook on gas stoves. But again, this is a big problem. And I don't know if other states are going to adopt this. I don't think so. I don't know what's going on with California. Again, this is a bit much. Give people options. Let people have the options. But me personally, I want a gas stove. I'm going to get a gas stove because to me, it makes my food taste that much better. All right, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. National news coming up next. Welcome back to the show, everyone. So now we're going to cover a little bit of national news. Let's jump right into it. Mr. Colin Kaepernick. As we guys remember, he was blackballed from the NFL, which wasn't, none of us agreed with it. But anyway, he was blackballed, of course, for kneeling for the national anthem, dealing with social injustice, specifically for African Americans with law enforcement. We all know the story. Well, he may be back in the NFL. So there has been a team that has given him an opportunity to try out, which I don't know why he needs to try out because he's still better than some of the quarterbacks that are starting in the league. But teams are beginning to be a little bit more open to giving him an opportunity. Take a look at this video. So we are getting that video together. But while we're getting that video together, you know, let us know your thoughts. What do you think? You think he should have his opportunity back in the NFL or should he not? I guess we'll get that video up in a bit. But the team is the Las Vegas Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders are giving him an opportunity. I do know they just signed Derek Carr to a big contract, so I'm assuming Colin's going to be a backup. With me personally, I do watch football. I think Colin is a much better quarterback than Derek Carr. You know, he's a great quarterback, but I think Colin brings a little bit more speed to that position.
So now Colin Kaepernick wants to turn back time. He's got to try out with the Raiders, and the word is they're prepared to offer him a contract. What do you think that'll do? And how do you think he will do?
Well, look, he's been out of the league for 5 years. That's kind of strike one. Strike two is that he's 35, going on 36 years old. And, you know, look, you could bring him in and he could be a backup. I've heard that his workouts have not been super stellar, that they've been okay, but this is the quote unquote right step, the step in the right direction for Colin Kaepernick. If someone wants to sign him, that's great. That's great. Let them do that and let him play. They need to understand what they're bringing along with Colin, which is all the media attention that he's going to draw because of the circumstances, right? Because of his kneeling in the past, because of the time he's been away, because of the documentary that he produced saying that the combine was like the slave trade. So there will be a lot of extra attention on that team when you sign him, if you sign him. I just don't know. I mean, look, if he can still play and a team wants to sign him, I have no problem with that, not at all. But I just don't know how effective he can be.
Yeah, see, this kills me. You know, they make such a big deal. And of course, you know, this is far-right media, but they make such a big deal because he kneeled. All the media that comes with him, do you want to deal with it? Well, what do you mean? Look at the man's talent. And some of these teams in the NFL are so irrelevant, they need that attention. Trust me. People may not like him for what he did, but I guarantee you they're going to buy tickets to watch him play. And we know how people think. All you got to do is have a win, W-I-N, any win. If he starts and takes home and wins the Super Bowl, all this stuff is forgotten. He's a hero. He's a hero. And she's saying, well, his workouts haven't been that great. Okay, well, what do you want the man to do? I mean, he still has the talent to be in the NFL. And again, you know, people are making such a big deal that he's going to be such a problem child. Then she brought up this whole documentary, and it's not a documentary, by the way. It's actually Colin in black and white. It was actually a limited series on Netflix, which was really, really, really good. Well done. It was Ava DuVernay. Well done. And he's absolutely correct. But again, this goes back to perception. It goes back to the perception of who's interpreting it in their reality. She's looking at it like it's degrading the NFL because he's saying it was like the slave trade. But us African Americans and other people, we understand what he's saying. I mean, you have to go in, you have to weigh, you have to jump. Some of those guys have their shirts off, you know, and you have all these white recruiters looking at them, measuring them, see how fast they run, see how they interact, and they're writing them down, they're scoring them, you know, basically selling themselves, selling them to the team. This is what he brings. He's, you know, 220 pounds, he benches this month, he runs a 4.2 and a 40. I mean, we get what Colin is saying. Why? Because we deal with the struggle. So me personally, Colin, my friend, good luck. I'm sure it's well-deserved. You did your thing. You have inspired generations. You have stood out as an NFL player because you were not silent and you stood up for what was right. So kudos to you, and we look forward to seeing you playing back in the NFL. All right, this next one is pretty serious. You know, I didn't want to show any pictures, just that, but we do have a website we're going to go to in a little bit. That monkeypox. If you guys remember a couple of episodes, I did a story on monkeypox and how it was overseas. And the picture was a bit horrific. We didn't want to show it this time, but of course it's like, it kind of reminds you, if you look in the Bible, like leprosy, it's sores everywhere, kind of similar to chicken pox. It's in that family. But there we go. And if you want, we can enlarge it. But this is current, guys. There we go. This is current. So let's stop it right there. This is what I wanted to talk about. Remember, last time I did the show, it was overseas. Well, now it has migrated over to the United States. So let's go over right here. We'll stay on this. These are all the states that already have cases. You're looking at Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, Arizona, Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Maryland, Virginia, Georgia, and Florida. These are cases that have already been confirmed. And remember, these are cases that have been reported. We don't know what has not been reported. Even Hawaii. That's a lot of states from the last time I did the show, the last time we actually broke the story here. So it's moving pretty fast. And unfortunately, in the mainstream media, it's not getting a lot of coverage like it should. So let's scroll down real quick. We'll just go over really briefly the case count by state of residence. Okay, we can stop it. So in Arizona, we have 1. Look in California, my goodness, 40. Wow, that number has grown. 40 is a lot, guys, because remember, this is extremely contagious. It's by physical contact, and it's not necessarily sexual contact. It could be a handshake. It can be a fist bump. We don't necessarily know. So I can't say, only thing they said was physical contact. So we don't know if it's a certain period you got to be in contact with someone. We really have no details. But as the details come to us, we would definitely share it on the show. Colorado 5, DC 4, Florida 16. Wow. Georgia 5, Hawaii 5, Illinois. Wow, that's a lot for Illinois. That's not really a big state compared to California. It seemed like it's in second, 19. Indiana 2, Maryland 3, Massachusetts 9, Missouri 2. Nevada 1, New Jersey. Wow, New York. Wow, so New York is in second. So New York has 22 cases. Ohio 1, Oklahoma 2, 1 Oregon, 2 Pennsylvania, Rhode Island with 1, Texas 4. That's a little bit low for Texas. So I thought Texas would be more. Utah 3, Virginia 1, and Washington, state of Washington 4. So if you guys do develop, or you even have any inclination that you may, or someone close to you may have monkeypox, I would do the research to see what you can do. Go to the doctor. I'm sure they have some type of medication. Me personally, guys, I like to go to more of a natural remedy. There are some people that, know a lot of people don't like, especially more government agencies. They don't prefer you to go to those people because, again, you're taking money out of their pocket. To me, I think they're just treating it. They're not in the world of curing it, so we don't know how this started. We don't know the complexities of it. We don't know the harm. We don't know. So I would say go at your own will, make your own decision, but notify someone if you feel you have been in contact with someone with monkeypox. All right, moving on. It's crazy, right? It's
And another
moving
big
so
story we're
fast.
following at 11 o'clock,
Yeah,
another
look at
virus
this
that we've
video.
been talking about that is not COVID, monkeypox. So there are more than 250 confirmed cases throughout the world in the past 2 weeks alone, 10 of those in the U.S., some of those actually in Virginia. Now, the CDC expects those numbers to rise even more, recommending that the most at risk now get vaccinated. So we wanted to find out more about it. And should you be worried or not? WJZ Live at 11 o'clock. Annie Rose Ramos took your questions straight to the experts. Annie Rose.
Well, Rick, there are so many questions surrounding monkeypox. What is it? How do you get it? Who's most vulnerable to it? And that is why, as you mentioned, we took those questions to a local expert here with Johns Hopkins. He has everything you need to know in 90 seconds. Do the masses understand monkeypox?
Not necessarily.
I guess the name of it.
I don't really know much about it.
WJZ taking your questions to a local expert. What is monkeypox?
A viral disease that's been known to science since the 1950s. It's from the same family of viruses that includes smallpox, and it's characterized by a rash, fever, swelling of the lymph nodes, and has been something that's been spreading for some time in about a dozen African countries. And it's considered to be endemic in those African countries, not usually seen outside of Africa.
What are the symptoms?
Fever, flu-like symptoms, and then a characteristic rash, as well as lymph node swelling. And that rash can be on your arms, it can be on your legs. And in this outbreak, we're particularly seeing rashes or skin lesions in the genital area.
How do you best avoid getting the monkeypox?
It's spreading from close person-to-person contact, specifically in sexual networks of men who have sex with men. So it's very important that you practice safe sex, that you're aware that this is circulating in those networks.
Is this something that people should be fearful of?
Monkeypox is not a very contagious disease, and we should expect to see more cases in different parts of the United States because it is spreading amongst social networks, but it's not spreading through casual contact. It's something that requires close, prolonged contact. So this isn't something that should alarm the general public.
Now, Vic, another important note. On Monday, the World Health Organization said they do not believe this monkeypox outbreak will turn into another global pandemic. Reporting live, I'm Annie.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack right here with this video. See, he's saying it's not casual contact. When I saw another article, it did say casual contact. Now he's saying it's through sexual. See, I want you guys to take the bits and pieces of what he said, and I disagree with him. And it irks me. They always want to blame Africa for this. And it's just, that irks the hell out of me. Like, all the diseases start with us. Like, we're just so dirty. We're just the worst people on earth, and we create all these diseases. They just fall out the damn sky. And Africans are the one that's spreading it. You Africans are the one to blame. Stop. Stop. How did it get there? You know, come on, guys. This is not something that was just naturally made. You already know how this was made. Let's not even go there. But Africa always gets the blame, and it's unfair. Second, he said it's primarily with male-to-male contact, sexual contact. I don't agree with him singling out the LGBTQ community in that. I don't think that's right. You know, I don't know if you guys remember when HIV first came out, they made it a gay disease. So the straight people felt more superior. You know, they looked down upon LGBTQ people saying, you know, they're the ones getting the disease. I'm cool. I'm straight. I can go have as much sex as I want. I'm protected. You know, I'm not gay, so I'm not worried about that. That's for y'all. Well, then you start having heterosexual people get HIV. This is the same thing. I think he should have just kept it as sexual contact. But for him to single out, I think, again, this goes back to trying to eliminate those groups, the undesirables, quote unquote. And I'm not calling them the undesirables. I'm saying how some of the government and other evil entities look at certain special groups as undesirables. So, yeah, we're going to come back to that because I don't like how that's been singled out. All right, moving on. Oh, that just frustrates me, guys. Africa get the blame for everything. It's not right. Even the LGBTQ community, and that's not fair. He has to reframe his thoughts. Okay, this gas tax, we all know at the pump, it's been ridiculously expensive. Here in California, it is $7 a gallon. You heard that right, $7. So now President Biden is saying he's having a gas tax. I had to look that up because I really didn't know what that means. But let's take a look at the video and we'll talk after.
Americans are looking for relief at the pump, hoping that lawmakers can do something to bring those prices down, even if that's temporary. To that point, White House officials say a federal gas tax holiday is on the table. As of today, the average cost of a gallon is hovering around $5. Joining me now is NBC News White House correspondent Mike Memoli. So this would shave off what was it, 13, 15, 16 cents per gallon? Nice, but it's not going to get the price down to where it was last year, Mike.
Yeah, that's right, Katie. 18 cents is the magic
18.
number that a federal gas tax holiday would mean for Americans. And in fact, we've seen a number of states already suspend state-level gas taxes, and a number of those states are led by Democratic governors and legislatures. So this is an idea that has been sort of in the air for some time. You talk about gas prices hovering around $5 a gallon. The president's approval rating is hovering around 40%, and his approval on the economy is even lower than that. So that's really what's driving the urgency on the part of the White House today. The White House has consistently said that all options are on the table, that the president is considering a range of actions today. The president was taking a walk on the beach in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, and he took some questions, including about this idea of a gas tax holiday. Let's hear what he had to say.
Mr. President, are you considering a pause on the federal gas tax, Mr. President? We know that you're considering it, and Secretary Yellen spoke about it yesterday.
Yes, I'm considering it.
How soon can we expect a decision?
Well, I hope I have a decision based on data I'm looking for by the end of the week.
Now, Katie, there are, of course, some trade-offs if you pursue this gas tax holiday. One is that if you suspend the gas tax, at some point you have to reimpose it. That's one of the political tricks here, is that at some point, if the gas price does lower enough, then you still have to reimpose the tax, and that will raise it once again. The other bigger issue, as Jennifer Granholm, the Energy Secretary, laid out over the weekend, is this federal gas tax pays for things. It pays for infrastructure. The infrastructure law that the president signed last year is one of the main accomplishments they're running on. And so they don't want to necessarily rob Peter to pay Paul's, put some of these infrastructure projects in jeopardy because you cut off one of the main sources of revenue for it. So decision, the president says by the end of the week. We know sometimes those decisions, especially in this White House, drag on a little bit longer than that.
Really, really interesting. Mem, thanks so much.
All right, so let me read exactly because I had to look up what is the gas tax. So it is the typical taxes that are applied to the purchases of gasoline and diesel are lifted for a period of time, offering a measure of relief to consumers. Here's the deal. It's buzzwords. Gas tax, we're going to relieve, we're going to save you guys at the pump. Everybody claps. But it's only 18 cents. That's not a lot, guys. Again, in California, we're looking at $7 a gallon. What the hell is 18 cents going to do? So, my recommendation to you guys, just be wise where you go. If you have to stay in a house more, definitely stay in the house. It's tough. It's tough because we're so used to up and going. What I usually do, I have a Costco membership. If you have a Costco, a Sam's Club, even in certain states, Ralph's, I'm from Texas, H-E-B, they all have gas stations. You can use your points. That may take 10, 20 cents off. Anything can help. But these oil companies, shame on you. You can go down on these prices. It's all about greed. This is all about greed. This is corporate greed. And we are paying for it. And again, that tax, the period of the time for the gas tax is coming off the infrastructure. Now, remember, with the infrastructure, that's roads, that's bridges, to help make it safer in cities. And many of the infrastructure in big cities, specifically Los Angeles, we need it. They need it. It needs to be renovated. It needs to be remodeled. It needs to be updated. So again, watch where you go. If you don't have to go, you necessarily don't have to go. And my recommendation is go to these warehouses where they have their own gas prices, their own gas stations, and it will save you at the pump. All right, to our last national story, and this one is a little bit sad. Young man, there he is. Let me get his name right. His name is Daniel Santulli, pledging in a fraternity at the University of Missouri. Of course, these fraternities made him drink, I think, about a vodka. Well, it had an allergic reaction to his body, and he became paralyzed. Take a look at this video.
Going to go to the family of a University of Missouri student who suffered a devastating brain injury after allegedly being pressured to drink a bottle of vodka during a fraternity pledge party. They're speaking to ABC News as we get a first look at surveillance video from that tragic night. Will Reeve is back and he spoke with the family. Good morning again, Will.
All right. Well, I guess we'll get the video back just so you guys can get a little bit more details about it. But he was pledging, and part of their pledging process, you know, made him drink. He drank too much. He had brain damage, and now he is in a wheelchair, and his family has to care for him. This is very common in fraternities, this hazing. Some of it is more like alcohol, depending on it's all cultural. You know, a lot of African-American fraternities, they don't really make you drink. That's more Caucasian fraternities, male fraternities. Well, they're all fraternities, male. But yeah, more African-American may be, you know, they have their own thing, but we can gather here what it's like. Some may consider it more physical, but it's at the end of the day, you know, guys, do what you have to do. I know you got to get respect in the fraternity. You want to be valued. You want to be loved. You want to wear those letters. You want to step. You want to go across. Everybody loves you. You become popular. But be very careful, because I'm telling you, you know, years from now, as you get older, what does it really mean? Does it really, truly benefit your life? Does it upgrade your life? Seriously, what does it really, really mean? Is it really worth it? And I can't even imagine what his parents are dealing with. You send your child out to college, great student, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be in a fraternity. It's part of college life. You do it. And this happens. You know, I feel for the family. My prayers goes out to the family. My prayers go out to the young man. Just to let you guys know, let me pull it up. 2 of the members of the fraternity have been charged. It says charged with tampering with physical evidence. So that's one. And then it says students are facing a misdemeanor, counts of supplying liquor to a minor or intoxicated person. Again, this is a white fraternity, so a misdemeanor to me is a little minuscule, right? Then it says, okay, members on a felony hazing charges. Yeah, seemed like they're trying to protect these young men, and it's not fair. You know, if I was the parents, you guys comment, let me know what you think. But if that was my child, I would file murder charges, because they could have killed that boy. They could have killed him. They could have killed him. I would go for the max, because nothing's going to bring his life back. I mean, he is destroyed. He would have to live with someone for the rest of his life. Behind what? So people can love you and like you because you wear 3 letters on your chest? Oh, guys, we got to be careful. It's so tough. And I know his parents are like, why my child? Out of all these kids that pledge, why my child? All right, guys, I want you guys to swallow that, right? We're going to take a quick commercial break. International news is next. right, back to now. Welcome back to the show, but we're now covering international news. Sri Lanka, remember we covered it a couple shows ago about they're going into an economic crisis, and it is true. They have shut down everything in Sri Lanka for 2 weeks. Look at that. Those cars are just stagnant. They're there for 2 weeks. Let's take a look at the video real quick, and we'll talk after. Well, it seems like we'll get that video going, but yeah, Sri Lanka did shut down. Let me just read here from what I have. The country consists of 22 million people, 22 million of its worst economic crisis. On Monday, schools were shut down. Schools were shut down. Yeah, it was schools, it was restaurants, food, fuels, medicines, everything, hospitals shut down. We got the video back up. Let's take a look at it and we'll talk after.
Sri Lanka is struggling. It may not have enough money to cover its payments. In the next 12 months, Sri Lanka must pay back at least $2.5 billion to its creditors. The first payment is due this month. Sri Lanka must repay $1 billion to investors. The payment is due on the 27th of July. Ahead of the due date, Colombo is trying to control the money that leaves the country. Last week, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa issued an order. It placed limits on how much foreign currency can leave Sri Lanka. Overseas investments by local firms have been suspended for 6 months. Already, Sri Lanka has banned imports of luxury goods and cars. Reports say Colombo now wants a ban on the import of mobile phones, computers, and electronic consumer goods. Sri Lanka is short on foreign currency reserves. Reports say the country's foreign reserves stand at around $4 billion right now, and that's barely enough to cover 3 months of imports. Sri Lanka has been borrowing more to maintain its reserve. In March, Colombo secured a $1.5 billion currency swap from Beijing. It has a similar arrangement with India for $400 million. What's a currency swap? It is effectively a loan that Sri Lanka can repay in its own currency. So what happens is that Sri Lanka will get the funds in American dollars and it will repay the debt in Sri Lankan rupees. That's a currency swap. Colombo has sought help from Dhaka too. Bangladesh has extended a $200 million loan to Sri Lanka, but borrowing has its limits. There is intense speculation that Sri Lanka may now need help from the International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, the global lender of last resort. Last year, Sri Lanka had access to $1.5 billion of fund facility from the IMF. But it was ended prematurely. That's because Colombo decided to take help from its allies. And even with the IMF's help, Sri Lanka might need more support from neighbors like India. Reports claim that Sri Lanka is quote-unquote.
All right, you guys get the point what's going on. And this is something very interesting. She said there's only $4 billion in reserve. That's not a lot of money. Me personally, when it comes to, as you guys can see on that photo right there, it is that serious in Sri Lanka. And to me, I think this was all planned. I'm not saying by Sri Lanka government. I think by other entities. I think this is a way to start this whole world order, world domination. So now you're going to have more wealthier countries come in and dominate, try to take control. And they're going to possibly buy their way and purchase that country in a way. And that's what's going to happen. This is all a plan. This is all set up. So our thoughts and prayers are with Sri Lanka. Woo! A lot going on. All right, last international story. Uganda. And we all heard. Uganda has discovered gold. As a matter of fact, 31 million metric tons of gold, which I think is worth, let me get this right. I think it was around $15 trillion worth of gold. That is a lot. So let's take a look at this video real quick and we'll talk after.
Here is your latest African news. Uganda. Uganda announces discovery of huge gold deposits. Uganda has announced that it has struck a deposit of 31 million tons of gold ore, with extractable pure gold estimated to gross 320,000 tons. President Museveni broke news of the find in his State of the Nation address yesterday, but provided little detail, pointing in general that it would fetch the country more than $12 trillion. Technocrats in the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, Mr. Museveni noted, had informed cabinet that the country was positioned to get slightly under 700 million in royalty payments, with the investors poised to cash in on the windfall, citing 6 local gold refineries, among them Africa Gold Refinery in Entebbe, that the United States sanctioned in March over illicit sources of its gold. The president declared that the time for Uganda to ship unprocessed exports is over. The volume of the reserve is estimated at 31 million tons of gold ore, or net 320,158 tons of gold, valued at $12.8 trillion, according to a document prepared by the Line Ministry. Uganda's gold exports have been on the rise since opening the Africa Gold Refinery in Entebbe, according to official records. For instance, in 2019 and 2020, the country exported gold worth $1.9 billion to the United Arab Emirates, $1.4 billion to South Korea, and $28.7 million to Hong Kong. In contrast, Uganda imported nearly $2 billion worth of gold, making it the 18th largest gold importer in the world, according to cabinet records.
All right, as you guys see, now let me just say this. It goes back to that woman who found that $36,000. Now, Uganda is different from me. I would have kept my mouth shut. Why are you telling everyone? What are you doing? Why? This to me goes back to ego. Look at us. Look at me. Look at me. Look how much money we have. Do you realize you open up the door for war? You open up the door for all this propaganda. You open up this door for germ warfare. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to break out with a new disease. Folks sending diseases over there. What are you doing? Be quiet. I don't understand, Uganda. Congratulations. You should have kept that quiet and kept that money in your country. Ego is a thing, guys. It is tough. And yeah, so I'm sure in the upcoming shows, we will talk about some type of germ warfare, or war will be declared on Uganda. I guarantee it. All right, then lead me to this moment. Wow, the show went by fast. We're almost out of time. What is the real reality? You know, I do want to talk about one of the topics in the national segment, the young man that has brain damage, because I want to talk about the fraternity. Because a lot of times when we go to college, we see it. Of course, we see Stomp the Yard. We see these other shows that are very intriguing, and we want to be a part of that culture. But you got to ask yourself, is it that important? And again, you don't think about that when you're 18, 19. You just want to be out there. You want to wear those letters. You want everyone to love you and cheer your name. You're at that party. You stepping, you strolling, you strutting, and it's fun. But is it really, really worth it? You know, I think what you would have to do, my recommendation, if there's any big brothers or anyone in the fraternity, I would definitely pull them aside and really be honest and say, you know, what is the process like? Is this something that I really, really want to do? Can you just give me, and a lot of them are not going to tell you, and I get it. They're not going to do it because they got to protect themselves. But at this point, you got to be willing to tell them what you're not going to do. I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to walk around campus looking at food, because I have integrity. And my life is beyond these 3 letters on my chest. I have other things to do with my life. I want to live to 100 years old. So anyone that's watching, my advice is this: stand up for yourself and say what you're willing to not do. I don't care how bad you want it. I don't care how popular you think you may be. But I'm telling you, once you get those letters on your chest and you get involved, sometimes it's really not what you thought. It's really not. So again, do your research, look up the fraternity or the sorority, pull someone aside and let them know you're really interested, but this is the only thing I would tolerate. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to pyromedianetwork.com. Thank you guys so much. This has been a great show, and I will see you guys next week. Have a good night.